Hello everybody and welcome back to ScorpioTech. In this video I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of the 34-inch LG UltraGear curved OLED ultra-wide gaming monitor. Announced earlier this year at CES 2024, this 240Hz OLED monitor is available in both 34 and 39-inch variants for $1,300 or £1,300. And just to clarify, the 34-inch monitor I'm reviewing is the 34GS95QE and the 39-inch model is the 39GS95QE. Featuring a stunning 800R curve, the 21:9 ratio screen has a WQHD 3440x1440p resolution, aiming to give you an incredibly immersive gaming experience. This is elevated further by a 0.03 millisecond grey-to-grey response time paired with a near borderless display and the controversial, but in my opinion necessary, anti-glare coating. From my experience, curved glossy monitors really struggle with bright rooms and reflections, which is especially the case for me with a window directly behind my setup. Inside the packaging you get everything you need to get started straight away, which includes a stand, various cables, and of course the very well packaged beauty of a monitor itself. As for ports, you've got two HDMI 2.1 ports, one DisplayPort 1.4 allowing for up to a 240Hz refresh rate, and in addition you've also got a USB upstream and downstream, as well as a very oddly placed headphone jack. As for controlling the settings of this monitor, you have a single button hidden centrally underneath which allows for clicking and directional use. I'll be showcasing the monitor settings available a little bit later on in this video. Also included in the box was this plastic port cover which helps keep things neat and tidy at the back. It's only a small addition, but it's definitely a welcome one. Before we get stuck into the monitor review, let's get the included stand attached and check out the design of this monitor. In terms of design, they've included a really cool lighting zone on the back of the monitor which gives off an ambient glow that I'll show you later, as well as making the stand much flatter and less intrusive than it has been on previous models. This allows you to have the monitor much closer to the wall, which is also aided by the downward facing ports and built-in cable management, although you can of course VESA mount this monitor as well. Attaching the stand couldn't be much easier. Simply lower the stem onto the base and tighten the screws before clicking the bracket into place on the back of the monitor. I have to say this is a really nice L-shaped stand with a lower form factor which allows you to swivel, tilt and adjust the height to get your ideal monitor position. And whilst it's predominantly made out of plastic, the monitor has a great build quality and simply looks stunning both on and off. For those of you that have seen my previous videos, you'll know that I've been using a 45-inch LG UltraGear OLED Ultrawide, the 45GR95QE, which is essentially the bigger brother of these newly released monitors. But I've got to say the 34-inch size is really fantastic, and for the majority of people I think this is definitely going to be the sweet spot. One of my biggest issues with the 45-inch monitor was the pixels per inch, as it was also a WQHD resolution monitor. But being 11 inches smaller, this 34-inch ultrawide makes for a much sharper image than I've been used to over the past few months, making games, text and well, pretty much anything look really nice and sharp. Although I think there will still be people that would have hoped for a 4K resolution at this screen size, but I've got to say I think it looks incredible as it is. To access the monitor settings, you can simply press in the button underneath that I showed you earlier, and from there you can jump into a vast amount of options like the picture settings, input list, picture-in-picture and picture-by-picture modes, as well as a few ambient lighting options as well. I've also got to say that the menus are really intuitive and responsive, which is lovely as so many monitors seem to have a laggy user interface. The hexagon lighting options are fairly limited, however you do have various profiles for different colours that you can adjust yourself, or you can select cycling to have it run through the spectrum. You can of course also turn this off if it's not your thing, but it's a really nice subtle glow that makes this monitor feel that little bit more special. There are plenty of options to go through here, like choosing your ideal picture settings and OLED features, but the main one we'll take a look at shortly are the picture-in-picture modes. As I mentioned before, this is a 240Hz monitor which you haven't used yourself is an incredibly satisfying and enjoyable experience. Not just for general PC use, but in games this literally gives you a competitive advantage. For general use though, this monitor has been a pleasure to use. It's bright, vibrant, sharp and makes editing new videos and doing day-to-day tasks much more enjoyable than I found it on my old 27-inch 16:9 ratio monitors. But where this monitor really shines is playing games. All I can really say is wow, just wow. I absolutely love the cinematic 21:9 ratio. These days practically every new game supports it, and it really does enhance your immersion massively compared with 16:9. Games like Helldivers 2, Cyberpunk 2077, Red Dead Redemption 2 and many more look like they were designed to be played on a monitor just like this. And I personally much prefer it over the 32:9 ultrawides, which simply feel like they've cropped too much of your field of view you out of the game, 21:9 really is the sweet spot in my opinion. This monitor also features the upgraded version of LG's MLA technology, aptly named MLA+. So essentially what this is doing is raising the previous generation's 200 nits brightness to 275 nits brightness, which makes a huge difference on an OLED monitor. And if you don't already know what MLA or micro lens array does, it basically increases the brightness and viewing angles of OLED monitors by putting a layer of micro lenses in front of the OLED layer to amplify its brightness. This updated brightness level paired with a 1.5 million-to-1 contrast ratio and the perfect inky blacks you get with an OLED monitor make for perhaps the most beautiful gaming monitor display that I've ever experienced. All of these features work together to give you a bright, vibrant and sharp image for stunning visuals and unparalleled immersion. Not only that, but if you're also a fan of HDR, this monitor features VESA Display HDR True Black 400 to really elevate your HDR content. And it's also definitely worth mentioning that this monitor is both Nvidia G-Sync and AMD FreeSync Premium Pro compatible. And yes, you may argue that it should be a 4K monitor, but 3440 by 1440 at 240Hz on a 34-inch display looks simply phenomenal. And as you can see here with Cyberpunk, even if we move the camera closer to the screen, you still retain all of that detail and sharpness, making for a pretty epic and immersive gaming experience. As for other cool features available, this monitor has both picture-in-picture and picture-by-picture modes for displaying multiple inputs simultaneously. So if you're a bit of a multitasker like I am, then you'll definitely love this feature. It's ideal for watching Netflix on one side and playing a game on a console on the other. Although having this feature active does limit your refresh rate for each input to 120Hz, but I find that perfectly adequate for multitasking. You can also opt for the picture-in-picture mode, which allows you to place a smaller screen in each corner of the monitor, displaying another input. Once again, this is brilliant for those of us wanting to watch a series or a movie or something from a different input. Overall, I absolutely love the 34-inch UltraGear OLED monitor. The incredibly low response time, smooth 240Hz refresh rate, and a vibrant and sharp display make for a gamer's paradise. And whilst gaming is clearly what the monitor was made for, I found that content creation and general use have also been really enjoyable. As for the negatives, there really isn't too much to say. Screen burn-in is clearly a concern with any OLED monitor, and with this maxed out brightness, it's definitely prone to it after prolonged use. However, there are built-in OLED care options to help combat this. And for peace of mind, screen burn-in is included in the 2-year warranty in the US. I also personally don't like the placement of the headphone jack, as it's pretty ugly when in use, although it is very convenient. Talking of though, it does feature DTS Headphone X, which allows for 3D audio over headphones, allowing for channel, scene and object-based audio. And thanks to the 4-pole headphone jack, you can utilize both incoming audio and your microphone audio in one. But yeah, I've got to be honest, I think this monitor is fantastic. It's such a great size, big enough to feel fully immersed but without taking a huge real estate away from your desk. In my case, this allowed me to properly use 2 desk speakers either side of the monitor to further enhance my immersion. From epic single-player story game experiences to competitive shooters, the stunning 21:9 ratio display really is the way forward for immersive gaming. And I know that $1,300 or pounds is a hefty price to pay, but if you really want to take your gaming setup or experience to another level, then you really don't need to look any further than the 34GS95QE. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you'd like to find out more about the monitor, I'll have it linked down in the description. And a huge thank you to LG for supplying this monitor for review, but as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own. Thanks again, and I hope to see you all in the next video.